Marcus Aurelius once said that most of what we fear losing is often not worth keeping. Imagine yourself running a long race under the scorching sun, feeling the heat on your face as you carry a heavy bag. With each step, the burden grows heavier, and the more you push forward, the more weight you accumulate. But have you ever considered the possibility of lightening your load? What if you could release some of these burdens and continue your journey with less weight? Would you be more likely to succeed in the race if you clung to everything, or would these unnecessary burdens hinder you from reaching the finish line? There are certain things in life that we must let go of quietly, without causing commotion. Things that prevent us from becoming the best versions of ourselves. This is not just a passing thought, but a fundamental shift in mindset that can lead to a happier and more fulfilling life. If you feel that this realization could mark the beginning of true change in your life, take a moment to embrace it fully. It is a journey that we will navigate together, one step at a time. One of the most essential changes to make is to eliminate unnecessary comparisons. Comparisons are a deceptive trap, one that ensnares us without our awareness. You might find yourself scrolling through your phone, seeing pictures of friends achieving milestones, traveling, or living what appears to be an enviable life. Before you even realize it, your mind begins drawing comparisons. Questions arise. Why are they there while I am here? Why have they accomplished so much while I feel stuck? What often goes unnoticed is that these comparisons are neither fair nor accurate. What you see is merely a snapshot, not the full story. The person you envy may have endured struggles beyond your comprehension. Sometimes, what appears to be a perfect life is nothing more than an illusion, a carefully curated facade. The truth is that each individual has their own path, their own unique journey. Comparing yourself to another is like comparing a small seed to a towering tree, forgetting that the tree was once a mere seed as well. Comparison is nothing but a weapon the mind wields against itself. Instead of measuring your worth against others, focus on your own progress. True success lies not in being superior to others, but in being better than you were yesterday. The next time you feel the impulse to compare yourself to someone else, pause. Take a deep breath and remind yourself, my journey is my own. No one else has lived my life, and no one else understands my reality. True beauty does not lie in what is seen, but in the simplicity of appreciating what you already have. When you shift your focus inward, you will realize that happiness has been within your reach all along. Negative thoughts can be an overwhelming force that dictates our perception of reality. How many times have you found yourself drowning in thoughts that make everything seem bleak, as though the entire world is against you, and you're trapped with no escape? These thoughts are like uninvited guests in your mind, yet we often treat them as permanent residents. We engage with them, entertain their narratives, and accept their words as absolute truth. But the reality is that these thoughts are mere illusions. The mind is like a garden. If left untended, it will be overrun with weeds. Negative thoughts are those weeds, creeping in unnoticed until they're completely overtaken your mental landscape. Just as you can pull weeds from a garden, you can also uproot these harmful thoughts. The next time a negative thought enters your mind, resist the urge to accept it as truth. Recognize it for what it is, a passing moment, a fleeting illusion. Instead of allowing it to take root, practice mindfulness. Tell yourself, I am not my thoughts. I am greater than this. Overcoming negative thoughts is not an instantaneous process, but a daily exercise. It requires conscious effort, consistency, and patience. Over time, by repeatedly challenging these thoughts, you will find yourself becoming stronger, calmer, and more in control of your life than you ever imagined possible. The fear of others' opinions is another burden that silently dictates our choices. Think about how much time and energy is spent worrying about what others think. How many decisions have been altered or abandoned entirely out of fear of judgment? This fear is an invisible chain, binding us to an existence where we seek approval rather than authenticity. The truth is that other people's opinions are nothing more than reflections of their own perspectives, insecurities, and limitations. They do not define your reality. Imagine standing at the shore of a vast sea while hundreds of people gaze upon it. Each person sees the sea differently. Some view it as a deep blue expanse, while others perceive it as murky and gray. Would you allow others to dictate how you see the sea? The same principle applies to life. Your worth is not determined by the opinions of others, but by what you believe about yourself. The philosopher Epictetus wisely stated, "If it does not concern you, do not allow it consume you." This applies to the judgments and criticisms of others. If their words do not contribute to your growth or well-being, why give them power over your life? Life is too short to be spent appeasing everyone. No matter what you do, there will always be someone who disagrees, criticizes, or attempts to mold you to their expectations. True freedom begins when you release yourself from the chains of external validation. The next time you receive an unsolicited opinion or harsh criticism, ask yourself, does this add value to my life? If the answer is no, then it does not deserve your energy. Toxic relationships can be one of the most profound sources of emotional weight. The people we surround ourselves with either support us on our journey or become burdens that hold us back. Some friendships and acquaintances may seem harmless or even company at first, but over time, they drain us in ways we do not immediately recognize. Toxic relationships are not always defined by open conflict or hostility. The poison is often subtle, words spoken casually that leave an invisible wound, feelings of inadequacy that linger after an interaction, or the gradual realization that you are shouldering responsibilities that do not belong to you. A healthy relationship is not one devoid of challenges, but one rooted in mutual respect, understanding, and growth. Toxic relationships, on the other hand, erode self-worth, diminish inner strength, and obstruct personal progress. Letting go of toxic relationships is not easy. Fear of loneliness and attachment to familiarity make it difficult to walk away. We convince ourselves that things might improve with time, but the harsh truth is that some relationships cannot be salvaged because their foundation was flawed from the start. The Stoics emphasize the importance of inner peace, and it is impossible to attain that peace while entangled in relationships that quietly steal your happiness. Releasing toxic relationships does not mean you are unkind or unforgiving. It means you respect yourself enough to walk away from what no longer serves you. Take time to reflect on the people you allow to influence your life. You do not need to make a grand announcement or engage in confrontation. Simply begin redirecting your energy toward healthier connections. Do not wait for others to change. If you keep waiting, you will lose valuable time in your own journey. Choose wisely, step back when necessary, and trust that by letting go, you are making space for something better. The difference will be unmistakable. My friend, if you've reached this point, it means you are different. You are someone who genuinely seeks change, clarity, and stability in life. Few people continue their search for wisdom until the very end, but you are among them. I invite you to share the phrase, "a life free of distractions," in the comments, so I know you have arrived at this moment in the episode. This is not just a simple pause, but an opportunity to connect, and I am here, reading every word you write. Stay with us, as the points ahead may prove even more valuable than those we have explored so far. Every day, many people wake up and engage in small but destructive habits that, over time, take a toll on their lives. It might be the habit of staying up late without purpose, spending endless hours in front of a screen without gaining any real knowledge or making tangible progress, or constantly delaying important tasks to a tomorrow that never comes. These seemingly harmless habits accumulate over time, much like drops of water slowly carving into a rock. The real problem is not just in a single wasted moment, but in the patterns these moments create. Aristotle once said that what we repeatedly do shapes who we are. Imagine for a moment that these habits were embodied in a person sitting next to you at all times, whispering in your ear that work can always be postponed, that skipping a workout for just one more day won't matter, or that eating unhealthy food just once won't have an impact. This person does not appear to be a threat, yet they subtly and silently erode the foundation of your life. The question then arises, how do we break free from this cycle? The answer does not lie in attempting to change everything all at once. Such an approach is unrealistic and overwhelming. Instead, we must focus on small, gradual progress. Stoicism teaches us that the key to transformation is to take small, manageable steps. If you find yourself staying up too late without a meaningful reason, try adjusting your bedtime just 30 minutes earlier than usual. If you spend too much time mindlessly scrolling on your phone, set a limit of 1 hour per day and turn off notifications that do not serve you. Every positive habit you nurture today is like planting a seed that will grow into a tree under which your future self can find shade. Imagine if, instead of indulging in these destructive habits, you invested your time in reading, acquiring a new skill, or simply sitting with yourself to reflect and plan your goals. The goal is not to attain perfection overnight, but to take one small, intentional step forward. That single step may seem insignificant at first, but over time, it creates a profound impact. Moreover, every destructive habit you eliminate is like removing a heavy stone from the burden you carry. As that weight is lifted, your journey toward your aspirations becomes smoother, allowing you to move forward with greater ease and determination. Consider this carefully and reflect on the first habit you are ready to let go of today. Another major obstacle in life is the illusion that we have complete control over everything. Many of us fall into the trap of planning meticulously, expecting every detail to unfold exactly as we envision it. But when reality deviates from our expectations, as inevitably does, we find ourselves drowning in frustration and stress. The truth, as understood by the great philosophers, is that not everything is within our control. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, once advised that we should begin by identifying what is within our power to change and what is not, then focus only on the former. While this may sound simple, consider how often people waste precious time and energy trying to alter circumstances that are entirely beyond their influence. It could be an argument with a difficult person, an issue at work that is beyond your authority, or even something as trivial as the weather disrupting your plans. Dwelling on these things only drains energy and leads to unnecessary stress. Think of yourself as the captain of a ship. The wind, waves, and storms are beyond your control, yet you hold the rudder in your hands. If you spend all your time complaining about the wind, you will remain stuck in the same place. But if you take charge of the rudder, you can navigate your course regardless of how fierce the storm may be. This is the essence of Stoic wisdom. Learning to accept what you cannot change is not a sign of defeat, but of strength. It means redirecting your focus toward what you can influence, allowing you to act with purpose rather than frustration. Letting go of control does not mean surrendering to fate, but rather understanding where your true power lies. When you stop resisting what is futile, you'll find an inner peace that is far more valuable than the illusion of control. Take a moment to reflect. Are there things consuming your energy that are completely beyond your ability to change? Perhaps it is time to release them, not out of weakness, but because doing so makes you stronger. The path to real empowerment lies in focusing on what is within your grasp, your choices, your mindset, and your reactions to life's uncertainties. True control begins from within. We often find ourselves building grand dreams and painting vivid pictures in our minds of how life should be. We imagine ourselves in the perfect job, thriving in the perfect relationship, and possessing the ideal body. Everything appears flawless in our imagination, unfolding exactly as we expect, as if the world revolves solely around our desires. But one simple question arises: what happens when these expectations clash with reality? The truth is that setting high expectations without cultivating the mental readiness to handle different outcomes is a guaranteed recipe for disappointment. Imagine walking along a road you expect to be smooth and straight, only to suddenly encounter a sharp turn or an unexpected pothole. What do you do in that moment? Do you halt your progress and complain that the road is not as you envisioned? Or do you adapt, adjust, and find a way to keep moving forward? The Stoics deeply understood this reality. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Receive whatever comes to you as if it were written for you." This wisdom suggests that rather than basing our happiness on the rigid expectation that everything must happen exactly as we wish, we should prepare ourselves to accept and embrace reality as it unfolds. Unrealistic expectations are not just a psychological burden. They form an invisible wall between us and inner peace. The solution is not to abandon dreams or suppress ambition, but rather to approach them with rationality. Setting goals is essential, but tying happiness to achieving them in an exact, predetermined way is a path to frustration. Instead, we should leave room for what the Stoics referred to as the free play of fate. If events unfold according to our hopes, that is wonderful. But if they take a different turn, we must remember that life always presents alternative paths that may be even more rewarding than those we originally envisioned. Unrealistic expectations can become chains that restrict movement and growth, preventing us from adapting to life's ever-changing nature. Flexibility is key to navigating the unpredictable currents of existence. True happiness does not arise from attaining perfection in all things, but rather from the ability to accept circumstances as they are and shape them to our advantage. Another significant obstacle to inner peace is a persistent need to always be right. Have you ever wondered why people sometimes insist on proving themselves correct, even at the cost of their comfort or relationships? It is as if there's an inner voice demanding, "I cannot be wrong," as though admitting mistake equates to losing a piece of one's dignity or status. But here is something worth considering. This relentless urge to be right is not a sign of strength. Rather, it is a form of weakness masquerading as pride. The desire to always emerge victorious in discussions is like an endless, exhausting race. Each time an argument arises, whether in the workplace, among friends, or even with a stranger online, there is an instinctive compulsion to prove superior knowledge, greater understanding, or intellectual dominance. But have you ever paused to ask yourself, what am I truly trying to prove? And to whom? Wisdom does not lie in winning every debate. Instead, it manifests in the ability to step back gracefully when realizing one is wrong. A truly wise individual does not fear changing their stance because they understand that evolving for the better is not a sign of weakness, but rather a remarkable display of inner strength. The moment we relinquish the constant urge to prove ourselves right, we unlock a newfound sense of freedom, one we may not have even realized was missing. Consider how much time and energy is wasted in futile attempts to convince others, often over matters that ultimately hold little significance. The need to always be right often stems from a deep-seated fear, a fear of appearing weak in the eyes of others. But in truth, admitting one's mistakes requires immense courage. When a person can say, "I was wrong," it does not diminish their worth. Instead, it reveals a level of self-awareness and bravery that is worthy of admiration. The next time you find yourself in a debate, try something different. Pause. Listen, not with the intent of crafting a rebuttal, but with the intent of genuinely understanding the other person's perspective. Ask yourself, am I truly invested in this argument? Or am I simply defending my image in front of others? In the grand scheme of life, people do not remember whether we were right all the time. They remember how we treated them, how we listened, and how we respected differences. The one who knows when to step back is the true winner, not just in arguments, but in earning the respect of those around them. Letting go of the need to always be right is like shedding a weight that has been pressing down on us without our awareness. Life is not a battlefield where every moment requires victory. It is a journey meant to be lived with a sense of peace and openness. In this modern world, another silent struggle often goes unnoticed: the overwhelming digital noise that fills our lives. Picture a small house where every corner is brimming with sound, loud music blasting from one room, overlapping conversations from another, the constant hum of kitchen appliances, and televisions running without pause. In such an environment, how can one think clearly? How can one even hear their own inner voice amidst the chaos? This is exactly what happens when we allow ourselves to be consumed by the digital world. Hours slip away as we mindlessly scroll through endless short videos, jumping from one notification to another, caught in an unrelenting whirlwind of digital distraction. At first, it seems entertaining, even harmless. But then, without realizing it, we find ourselves mentally drained, distracted, and disconnected from our own thoughts. It feels as if something precious has been stolen from us: our time, our focus, and our ability to simply be present. Technology itself is not the enemy. It is the unconscious, unintentional use of it that erodes our sense of control over our own lives. Every time we pick up our phone without purpose, it is as if we are voluntarily handing over fragments of our time, pieces of our life that we will never get back. The teachings of Stoicism emphasize the importance of being the master of one's own time, of consciously deciding where to direct attention and energy. After all, what we choose to focus on grows and expands. Now, imagine redirecting even half of the time wasted on mindless digital consumption towards something more meaningful: learning a new skill, reading a book, reflecting on one's own thoughts, or simply sitting in silence. How much more enriched would life become? How much clearer, what our minds feel. There is no need to completely abandon technology or sever all digital ties. The key is mindfulness. Before reaching for a device, pause and ask, is this truly what I want to do right now? Or am I merely using it as an escape? Recognizing this distinction is the first step toward reclaiming control over how we engage with technology. If you have read this far, it means you understand that change begins in the present moment. Technology is a tool. It should serve us, not the other way around. The power to set boundaries and make conscious choices belongs entirely to us.